Describing a wave as really big and fast might work for surfers, but physicists need a more accurate way, and that's where amplitude, wavelength, frequency, and period come in. A wave can be represented on a set of axes. A line is drawn to show the displacement of the particles from their undisturbed positions at a moment in time. It is as if a transverse wave had been set up in a piece of string and a snapshot taken of it. Crests and troughs are just points of maximum positive and maximum negative displacement from the particle's rest position. You can see this in the picture on the screen. There are a few measurements that you can use to describe waves. The amplitude of a wave is the maximum displacement of a point on the wave from its undisturbed or rest position. In other words, it's the distance from the undisturbed position to a crest or a trough. The wavelength is the distance between the same point on two adjacent waves. So on a transverse wave, it may be the distance between the crest of one wave and the crest of the next wave. On a longitudinal wave, the distance between the centers of two adjacent compressions is the wavelength. Frequency is the number of complete waves passing a certain point per second. Frequency is measured in hertz. 1 hertz is 1 wave per second. The period of a wave is the amount of time it takes for a full cycle of the wave to be completed. In other words, it's the length of time between one crest passing a point and the next crest passing the same point. You can find the period of a wave from the frequency using the equation. Period equals 1 divided by frequency, or T equals 1 over F. An example is included here. A boy measures the frequency of an ocean wave as 0.2 hertz. Calculate the period of this wave. So the frequency is in the correct units of hertz. It can be substituted directly into the formula 1 divided by 0.2. The period for this wave is 5 seconds. If you need to rearrange the equation, you can use the formula triangle. You'll find this equation on the equation sheet in your exam, but the units won't be given, so you will have to remember the units. So from this little video, you should be able to identify amplitude and wavelength. If I gave you a diagram, you should be able to label the diagram. You should be able to describe wave motion in terms of amplitude, wavelength, frequency, and period. The amplitude of the wave is the maximum displacement. The wavelength of a wave is the distance from one point to the same point on the next wave. And the frequency is the number of waves passing per second. And you should be able to use the equation 1 divided by frequency to work out the period in seconds of the cycle of a wave.